Hello and welcome everybody, you're watching Cardboard Odysseys. I'm Matt. Today we've got some drama. Some cardboard drama. So, Commander banned and restricted announcement. If you haven't seen it yet, they have banned Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt, and Nadu. TLDR, I'm just going to straight up say, my viewpoint is different than most people. I proxy a large portion of my decks. Probably 70 to 90% of my decks are proxied. I'm not a collector. I don't own any of the cards that were banned besides Nadu, and Nadu, he was like a couple dollars. That's no big deal. I stopped using Dockside quite a while ago. I only use Mana Crypt in a few decks, mostly colorless decks. So realistically, my viewpoint is kind of like, who cares? TLDR. However, I understand there are people that have lost thousands, but we'll get into it. That's just the TLDR. So, Dockside Extortionist. I want to just give... I'm not going to read this article. You can go through and read it. The TLDR of the article, if you didn't want to read it. Basically, they are banning fast mana, and these are the biggest culprits. This is the best way. I don't know if I consider Dockside fast mana. In CADH, it's considered probably fast mana, maybe. But like, definitely not Jeweled Lotus or Mana Crypt, that kind of fast mana. It's different. It's a different kind. It requires, it's dependencies. But anyways, they're basically trying to slow down the format in a way to where it makes things less explosive, and it doesn't give access to people to have like 3 mana, 4 mana, or 5 mana, 6 mana commanders by turn 3, basically, turn 2 and 3. And that's kind of why they're hitting the Mana Crypt, the Jeweled Lotus, and the Dockside Extortionist. I pretty much agree with Dockside Extortionist being banned. The price tag, and that's another thing I'll address. The price tag should not dictate whether a card gets banned or not. Also, remember that the Rules Committee are not part of Wizards of the Coast. They're not anywhere close to the same company. They do work together in some fashion, but realistically, the Rules Committee is just a group of people that everybody's kind of agreed with, that these are the rule makers. But at the end of the day, you are your Rule Zero. You can play these cards as much as you want, and as long as everybody agrees, cool. That kind of brings up the point where, like, if Rule Zero can solve that problem, then why does anything need to be banned? That's because, we all play a game that has rules, Somebody made those rules. You can make up your own rules, but typically most people like to just kind of go with the rules that were created for the game. And everybody kind of agrees on that. So having a subset of things that everybody agrees upon, or mostly agrees upon, is better, and then Rule Zero can take care of the outliers. If you start Rule Zeroing everything, or even playing Magic anymore, Anyways. Yeah, so I agree with Dockside Extortionist. I stopped playing this card a long time ago. It's just kind of boring. It's too good. It is really, really good. In a lot of situations where you loop the card, just on its face value, it's kind of just like, okay. A lot of times you'll get, like, 5, 6 mana. There are times where I've had it in my hand where it's bad. It's like, it maybe gets 2, sometimes 3. It maybe pays for itself. But in decks that can really abuse it, it is very strong. And in CADH, that's another thing. I don't really play CADH, but I do watch a lot of games. Play to Win's another good, another channel that I'm very interested to see what they think about this banning. CADH might go on its own route. They might, maybe they band together and make their own ban list. I actually do think that might be the better play. And then that gives the Rules Committee a little bit more freedom. I don't think their hands are tied in any way. For CADH, they've said that it's not, but this is kind of like a big, like, it's not really a big FU to CADH players, but it kind of is. It's kind of like, go do your own thing. It is a bit of a different format in the way that it's played, so I can kind of get it. They really should kind of make their own rule set. It's even called something different. Instead of EDH, it's CADH. Anyways, Jeweled Lotus. That's enough about Dockside Extortionist. Jeweled Lotus. Jeweled Lotus. I actually don't get this one. It is a Black Lotus, right, for your commander. But I just don't see it. I don't see it as being that big of a problem. Not every deck can use it. It's very stringent on like not playing your commander already. If it's not on turn 1, like basically it makes it a really. It's like this. Their argument for Soul Ring fits Jeweled Lotus. It's fun to do when you can do it, but it doesn't happen all the time. That's basically what they said, and they said that it's like a staple for the format. This is printed specifically printed specifically for Commander. You cannot play it anywhere else because you don't have a Commander anywhere else. So this does nothing in any other format but Commander. It is, in my opinion, the Soul Ring that they're trying to say is being like the staple head of the format. And I don't know. It is a powerful card, yes, but so is the One Ring. The One Ring's not banned. It is a very powerful card. Some people would say it should be banned. I'm on the fence. It's very strong, goes in every deck, kind of fits the stipulation. Jeweled Lotus, I don't agree with. Mana Crypt. Oh, and I wanted to like look at Mana Crypt. I have some topics that I want to talk about, but let's talk about each card first. What my opinion is, and then we'll talk about some statistics and such. And feelings. I know some people are gonna have their feelings hurt by what I say. I've thought about it all day. I wanna tell you how I feel, because as a content creator, that's kind of what we do. And I hope I don't hurt your feelings. I hope, I mean, you can't hurt my feelings. If you want to talk in the comments section, go for it. We can chat. Be civil about it. That's all I ask. But yeah, so Mana Crypt. I agree, 100%. 0 to pay 2 mana, or 0 to get 2 mana. It causes for such explosiveness in the format that, yeah, I mean, I agree. It's just, it's too good. It's really good. The 3 damage, maybe that happens. Doesn't really matter when you start at 40. It can cause for some fun activities, like when you get somebody to 3 damage and then they might die to their Mana Crypt, and then there's some suspense that can happen. But it definitely can cause some explosive turns. This plus like a Soul Ring, and on turn 2 you're untapping with 6 mana. It gets a little crazy, you know. If you have Ancient Tomb, you've got 7. Like, you know, like it gets. What they're trying to do is they're trying to like just slow down the explosiveness of it. There's still going to be fast turns. You can still turn 1 land, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. Maybe that land is a Ancient Tomb, and then you got 5 mana on turn 2 still. But it's less likely to happen, and it could kind of smooth things out and be like a little bit less explosive. You'll still have your explosive turns. But yeah, Mana Crypt, I agree with. As far as the financials about all 3 of these cards, they are all very expensive. There's some shenanigans potentially going on with, like, some people knew that they were going to get banned, so they started offloading them. If you look at the charts, they started to dip at a weird time, so there might have been some actual, like, I don't know. I'm not really into. I mean, there's definitely insider situations where they could happen. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying it looked a little weird. It looks a little strange. Also, there's some stipulation, or there's some conspiracy theories that, like, the Festival in the Box has the Commander Masters packs, which have like the Jeweled Lotus, and they were trying to like find a way to offload the packs that have the Jeweled Lotus and the Mana Crypt in them, which is the Ixalan and the Commander Masters. So they use the Festival in the Box to get rid of the product before it tanks in price. I don't think that's necessary. I will say, this has been known for a while. Like, there's no way that they just like, we're like, and it's known. This is stuff that's like talked about and planned and scheduled. This had to have been known by a certain subset of people for a while. I'm talking like months, maybe even more. So, yeah, I mean, this definitely is a little weird. There's some, conspiracies. I don't know what I believe in or what I don't. Stuff always happens. But yeah, so they are very expensive, and they are no longer very expensive. The odds of them like reverting this, unlikely quickly. There's going to be a lot of backlash. Some people love it, some people hate it. At the end of the day, maybe it's time to pick up some Jeweled Lotuses for $1. Sorry, guys. All right. So one thing I want to say is I think that Dockside Extortionist, of all of the 4 cards, and Nadu as well, but this is just for Dockside. This has been on the watch list for them for years. It's kind of baffling that it hasn't actually been banned already. This price tag that this was holding was kind of ridiculous from the get-go, knowing that at any moment it could be banned and go to 0, because realistically this card is only worth playing in Commander. So the odds, I don't know, the price tag was way too high. People were, I don't know, this is like Diamond Hands situation, and they're getting caught with their pants down. So whoever was holding on, and I know it sucks. A lot of shops and stuff, they're gonna lose thousands, but that's the game. That is what it is. I mean, that's just life, you know. Same thing could happen with the cryptocurrency. Same thing could happen with stocks. It's no different, really. Any collectible can get remade, and then maybe it's not worth as much. It literally can happen with anything. So like the fact that like people are freaking out, you could say that like your consumer confidence could be bad. Like if they print something and then it's like worth a lot of money, and then like the next day it gets banned, it's worth nothing. But like this is the first time they've really done this in quite a while, as far as like nuking like this much value. This is a lot of money. This is like a lot of money going out of Commander, which I'll say is a good thing. It's not good for the people that lost money, right? I get it, but like think of it this way: if you had these cards sitting in a binder and you never planned to sell them, you've lost no money because you never planned to sell them. So you can say that you lost potential money, and it does suck. It stings. Yeah, it's not good. But speculating on being able to potentially cash out one day and buying a bunch of them, that's the risky game you play in a card that can get banned. It is what it is. Like, that's just the game we all play. But yeah, Nadu is definitely a card that Wizards of the Coast, they said this was a mistake. They were trying to make it strong for Commander, but they ended up making it too strong. And they basically banned it because it's not even like so strong that it's so strong. It's just so strong and dirtily. They basically stated the situation as like, it's super, it suggests inherent play pattern is going to cause problems. Part of the problem is where it takes a really long time to do a non-deterministic sequences that can't be shortcut and might eventually fizzle out. So like, but basically what they're saying is that most of the time when Nadu gets online, it can win. But the way that it wins, it becomes this process of like, they most likely will win. But there are situations where if they played out their whole turn, they could just sit there, do nothing, draw 30 cards, and then not win at all because they fizzle out. And then it's at a situation where the Nadu player has to do something very specifically in the way that they're doing. Keep track of everything. Don't miss anything. It's not really necessarily intuitive, like how to like keep track of like how many times each creature has been triggered. If there's any creatures being created, they're like new triggers, and then if it gets bounced, everybody has new triggers, or everybody can be triggered again, I should say. So yeah, it's just a poorly designed card, and they admit it. So this being banned is just good. Because even if you don't even build a Nadu deck, but you accidentally put Nadu, because he's a good card, in like your other decks, there are situations where like he can just be that same situation where you just be like, oh, I have a Skewed Swarm, and I just happen to play both those cards, and then I've got this Lightning Greaves, and then it becomes a problem. So, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, the collector and the business side of this gets hit the hardest. The player base, honestly, you guys might think that people are playing this card a lot. They're not. These three cards here, Mana Crypt, Dockside, and Jeweled Lotus, are not being played as much as you think. Put in the comment section below, how much do you think these cards are actually being played? We have databases that kind of dictate. It won't. Everybody that doesn't put their card in the, I mean, not everybody puts their cards, their deck list on the internet. So I get that. Like this isn't like the end all be all. And I will say that the most people that don't play the card wouldn't put their deck on the internet anyways. But at least we have a database of I think millions of decks that dictate of how many how many decks are playing these cards. I did truthfully think that they were higher than what they actually are. So for Dockside Extortionist, it is played in 16% of decks out of 2.2 million decks. It is played in 16% of them. That's not that many. And this is including all decks that can play red. That's what this number is entailing. So it's in 347,000 decks. 16%. That's not as much as I thought, because in my head, if I'm like a strong, I mean, obviously the price tag might have a reason for that. Obviously, if you played every good card that's worth a ton of money, your decks would be thousands of dollars. And again, realistically, what I really think it is, it's not necessarily the price tag. I think that once you play Dockside a few times, everybody at the table and you, most of the time, the reaction is like, you know? So I think people were just policing it themselves. Banning it was kind of a mistake. I agree with it because it like kind of it's just it was like a band-aid that needed to be pulled off, but it should have been done like 2 years ago or however long, a really long time ago. The fact that it let the price rise like this is the problem, and I think that's the biggest telltale of like the problem of like the cards are they're out for so long. Like Jeweled Lotus, for instance, we'll look at Jeweled Lotus next. 7% of the decks, 7 out of a lot more numbers because it can go in every deck. So I guess this would be the total amount of decks. So 4.5 million decks. There's 7% of the decks playing it. Less Dockside, right? Yes, less than Dockside. So 347,000 versus 338,000 decks. So this is played in less than. And honestly, as many times as I've played it, I played in like. I think I want to play. I say I played in like 4 or 5 of my like 12 decks. It's a good card. It's great. It's a very strong card. But like, to me, it's Soul Ring. I don't mind it. It's fine. Soul Ring is a very powerful card, and it's okay to have a few powerful cards. I don't think this needed to be banned, but not many people were playing it. Could be because of the price tag. It could be because people thought it was too powerful, and it led to explosive turns, and people didn't like that. And maybe that's why the community decided to do that. So, Mana Crypt. Again, it's out of the 4.5 million because it is a colorless card. 11%. This can go in just about every deck. If you think about it, having 2 colorless mana for free, not many decks will say no to that. 11% is a very low number. I honestly expected this, especially with how proxy-friendly Magic has been recently. I mean, yeah, the price tag's crazy, but proxies are a thing. 11% is so low, right? Like, it's crazy. I mean, but I will say, similar to Dockside, I have stopped playing Mana Crypt in a lot of my decks because it kind of gets... It's too easy, right? Like, I don't know. Like CEDH to me is funny because it's like, it feels too easy to win, even though I know it's not. If everybody's on the CEDH level, it's fine. If everybody's trying to be balls to the wall, crazy, everybody's got interaction, everybody got free stuff, everybody's trying to win on top of each other. But if you're playing these cards in a casual format, it feels way too easy to become the nemesis, the arch nemesis, and just either get targeted out, and you got to be okay with that, or 2, you just stomp them. It just becomes a stomp fest when you just have so much more mana than everybody else, as the resources, your resources are just so high, especially because commanders nowadays, they're a lot stronger than they used to be. I saw somebody give an example of Thraxamundar. It's like 7 mana for a 6/6 haste trampler that whenever it attacks, you have to sacrifice a creature and it gets a 1/1 counter. That doesn't give you any value. But then you compare that to Atraxa. Atraxa can be insane. You can get so many cards from Atraxa that the amount of value you get for just from casting the thing. So if you ramp that and you cast, you get tons more value. Even if it dies, you get to cast it again, probably the next turn or the next turn after that, and you get tons more value, as opposed to that 6/6 that just has trample and haste or whatever, and it's just like they hit you for 7, maybe they hit you for they probably hit you for 7, and then you're like, okay, well 3 more turns of that and I die. But when you have like Atraxa that finds the combo pieces that wins the game instead of through combat damage, power creep is definitely a factor, I think, that made them want to ban this stuff. So, casual players are probably rejoicing. People that don't have these cards are probably rejoicing. But, like, I do think that in the future, we'll look back at this and we'll go, yeah, that was probably needed, maybe. But I think that it should have been done quicker. They should have probably been... I think it's better to ban a card like Jeweled Lotus a couple months into it being played, and they go, okay, yeah, that was that was a mistake. Maybe that card was too powerful. We don't need that card in the format. Get rid of it. But give it like a couple months. It's been, I don't know, a couple years, I think, or 2 years, 1 year. It's been a while. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems is that, it's... people have become dependent on it, and they've sunk money into it, and they're going to feel slighted and jaded. But again, ask yourself this. If you feel angry about this ban, which I guess you're entitled to feel that way. You're entitled to your opinion, of course. But like, think about it this way. If you never plan to sell your cards, if you just collect them, say you collect a set of Commander Masters, if you never plan to sell those sets, you've lost nothing. Cards fluctuate every day. Like the market, you can't time the market. You don't know when it's going to be at its highest. I sold my Dockside. I had a foil etched Dockside. I sold that at like 99 bucks or something like that. I looked 2 days ago before the announcement, and it was like 190. So yeah, I lost $100. But in reality, I didn't lose anything because I'd already sold it. That opportunity cost was gone. That doesn't mean anything if it goes up or down. Once I sell it, it's gone. And if you never plan to sell it, then it doesn't matter what the value is because who cares? You never plan to sell it. It does sting to have that opportunity cost gone, but that can happen in life, in everything. Cars, collectibles, stocks, crypto, whatever it is, dollars. I mean, the US dollar could go down in value. Doesn't matter. I mean, what I will say is that you shouldn't invest money that you don't have in cardboard that is manipulated or controlled by 5 people on the internet that ideally they have your best, they have their best intentions to make the format the best it can be. But just know that at any time, any expensive card you have has the ability to be banned in whatever format you're playing, and you just have to be okay with it. It's just happened before with expensive cards. It will happen again. It will continue to happen. But I think they do it for good reason, obviously. And I do think this will be healthy for the format. Closing thoughts. I think that, like I said, I think this is good. I think it's good for the format. It stings. It hurts now. If you... Apparently, I didn't even know this. Certain card companies, they issue a 15-day or so return policy on purchases made on cards that get banned. So, like, apparently, I think it's Cool Stuff Inc. There's a 15-day return policy. If you bought one of the cards that got banned, you have 15 days to return it for a store credit or something like that. I don't know. Check. If you've bought one of these cards recently, check wherever you bought it from and see if they offer that kind of situation, because you might be able to recoup some of your losses. But at the end of the day, this is a casual format. If you play with a group of friends and you don't agree with this, just don't do it. It's just that simple. Nobody's gonna come police you at your house. You can do whatever you want. As long as everybody agrees with it, everybody has fun. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. So I hope you guys still enjoy Magic. I don't think this really changes much for casual Magic. This doesn't really affect me at all. I have to take Jeweled Lotus out of a couple decks. But I mean, you just get to add something else cool in there. There's so many cool cards. Just replace it with something else cool. I don't know. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed. See y'all in the next one.